Hello my friends, after popular demand in this video I'm going to show you 40 crucial shortcuts that I always change in Cubase because you might like to change them too to make your life easier and faster. Let's get started. One of the best things in Cubase is that it has always been giving us the option to completely customize our workflow. And shortcut assignments are huge in Cubase because as a DAW, it gives you access to pretty much every single function. I have way more than 40 shortcuts assigned in Cubase, but this might need a second video. So if you like this video, share it and let me know if you want me to make a part 2. Let's jump in. To begin with, let me show you how you can find your shortcut assignments in Cubase. So all you need to do is go Edit and go Key Commands. And this is where you can find all the key commands that you can assign in Cubase. So I'm going to show you all the different shortcuts that I have assigned, but if you have any questions about what each shortcut does, maybe I'm going to make a video about this, so let me know in the comments down below. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Customize. And this is one of the things that I like about Cubase 13. They introduced a lot of ways to figure out your shortcuts. So I can go Customize and I can see my own customized shortcuts. I can see my assign, I can see my unassign, I can type a shortcut, for example, and I can see what it is if I click on this icon right here. But let's go to my customized shortcuts. We're going to take them one by one, and I'm going to go through 40 different shortcuts today. So the first shortcut is add an audio track. I do this all the time. Many times I want to add an audio track very quickly. So my shortcut for this is Command-Shift-N. On PC, I use the same shortcut, but it's Control-Shift-N. Second, we have the FX channel track. So if I want to add a new FX channel, this is the shortcut that I have, Command-Option-F. If I click this shortcut, you can see I can add a new track. I can choose the plugin that I want to use, and I'm good to go. The third one is add an instrument track. This is my most used shortcut, and this is Command-Option-N. If I was on PC, it would be Control-Alt-N. And of course, you don't have to follow my shortcuts. You can add your own, but I'm showing you the commands more than anything else. The fourth one is a very important one, and this is creating markers. And I always want to create markers when I'm composing for film and TV, and I want to create my marker tracks, or if I'm producing and I want to have markers for my chorus, for my middle eight and all these things, Command-Option-M for marker. The next one is also very important, and this is the ruler. With this shortcut, I can add a ruler, Command-Shift-R. Very important. Again, I use it all the time with mastering. I use it all the time when I'm doing composition on a video file and I want to have a ruler track that shows me the time code, or when I'm doing mastering, I want to set up my in and out points. I explain all these things, by the way, in my mastering courses. If you want to support the channel, you can check them out. I've done 3 mastering courses, mastering in Cubase, mastering in the box, and analog mastering. So whatever your mastering needs are, check out the courses, but I show how I set up everything for mastering with ruler tracks and marker tracks. Number 6, we have bounce selection. This is very important and I use it all the time. For example, if I do any crazy things on an audio event like this, I can just go and select Command-Alt-B and immediately I get the bounce selection option straight away. The next one, number 7, is create sampler track. This is something that I use all the time, especially when I'm working with a media bay. So if I go to the media bay and let's say I want to take this sample and create a sampler track out of this, I press Shift and Y and immediately I get a playable sampler track. So it's very easy. I always want to have this function instead of going here, right-clicking and selecting Create Sampler Track. I like this function. Number 8 is delete overlaps, and this is something that allows me to clean up my project if I have lots of audio recordings, lots of audio channels, and I have events overlapping with each other. So if I go to these events here and select them, you will see these events are overlapping right now. So you see these grid lines right here. If I select them and press Alt-D, this removes the overlaps, which allows you to clean up your audio takes really quickly. Number 9 is the disable enable track. This is something that I use so much, especially if I want to save some resources in my project. What I do is I select the channel that I want and I press Option and backwards slash and you will see that I can enable and disable the track super quickly. I want to stop here for a second. If you've been enjoying this video up to this point, I have a quick favor to ask. If you feel like it, hit that subscribe button. It's entirely free and it helps us make more videos like this for you. This is not a sponsored video, of course, but if you want to support the channel, you can check out my instruments, my Modern 80s Kit Max, and you can also check my 3 mastering courses. Mastering in Cubase with only Cubase tools, mastering in the box, and mastering with analog gear. Or just leave the good old like, it's more than enough and I appreciate it. Okay, back to the shortcuts. Number 10 is the shortcut for events to part. Again, this is something that is extremely important and speeds up your workflow, because what you can do is, let's say you have a vocal and you've chopped this, removed the silences, and you want to make this into a single container. What you can do is you can select all the events and press Shift D. That's my shortcut. And this becomes a self-contained file. So you put all these events into this container so you can move them across very easily. You're not going to run into any syncing problems when you move all of these at the same time. So you can clean up your vocal, but you can still have it in one little box. So quick, so easy. Number 11 is create warp markers from hit points. And this is something that I use a lot because sometimes I want to create warp markers so I can stretch and retime a loop, but I want to make sure that I have control over these warp markers. So for example, I might have this loop right here. I can go ahead and edit the hit points. Click on this, and then I can set up my threshold like this. And maybe I want to only have the big hits instead of having everything right there. And when I do this, I can go to my Audio Warp tab and I can hit Command Option H, and you will see that now I have my warp points right there and I can start retiming this loop, but I don't have any excess warp points. It's very, very cool and allows you to manipulate your loops and your audio material very easily. 12 is a visibility shortcut, and this is an agent. Show tracks with data at the cursor position. And this for me is Command Option Shift and C. And this basically allows me to show only the channels that have data at the cursor position. The next one allows me to show the tracks with data between locators. So if I set my locators like this and I press Command Option Shift L, you will see that my project completely changes and it shows me only the tracks that have data between these locators. And if I want to undo all of this, here's where my next shortcut comes in, and this is Agents Undo Visibility Change. So if I go Command Option Shift Z, you will see that all my channels are back, which is amazing. The next shortcut, I've talked about this on a video on how to do A/B referencing in Cubase, is the Select Control Room Source. And for this one, I use either the semicolon or the single quotation mark, and you will see I can switch from my mix to my reference, which is my C1, my Q1. Watch this video if you're interested about this function. It's really cool. Number 16 is my control room mixer, and for this one, I have it assigned to Command and F1, and you will see when I press this, it shows up. 17 is my mix console too. As you know, Cubase Pro has 4 mix consoles and they can all be configured in a separate way. So if I press Command and F2, this is on my other screen and these are my inputs. Let's go for number 18, and this is my mixer number 3, where here you can see I have all my inputs. See that? And you can see my microphone right there from my Portico channel. So I have this mixer in a completely separate place so that I can see just my inputs. So Command F3, I can close this mixer. 19 and 20 is cut head and cut tail. And these I've assigned to option left square bracket and right square bracket respectively. So let's say I want to cut the tail of this audio event. I can just set my range selection tool right here and I can just go option right square brackets. And that's it. I just cut the tail. If I want to cut the head, the exact opposite. Option left square bracket. And there we go. And it's very easy to do editing like this. The next shortcut that I have is deactivate all solo states. So let's say you've soloed multiple channels in your project and you have a project that's 300 channels. That's very typical. If I want to deactivate all the solos, I just press Alt Shift S. Ooh, the next one is something that I can't live without, and this is the Edit Channel Settings shortcut. And for this one, I have this set up on E. If I go to this channel, for example, and I press E, immediately I bring up my channel settings. I do this all the time. So I can't live without this shortcut. It's super crucial for me. As is the next one on 23, Edit VST Instrument. And for me, this one is I. So when I click I on my keyboard, I can bring up any VST instrument that I have selected. I think I should be assigned to punch in, but I've assigned the punch in to a different keystroke. Number 24 is left selection side to cursor, and I have this set to option E. This is very important when you're doing editing for audio. Let me show you how it works. If I create a selection here and I want to extend it to the cursor position right here, Alt E, and I'm good to go. Now I can get rid of this event. 25 is again a very important one, and this is the listen function. If you don't know what the listen function does, I've made a video, please check it out. What listen does is it basically solos a channel. It's very useful if you want to listen to just a reverb send without making your channels pre-fader and then soloing and pulling down the fader and all these things. As you can see, if I press my assigned key, you will see that my listen button turns on each selected channel. 26 is my monitor button. This is especially useful if you want to track using effects. So if you have a guitar and you want to add an effect plugin to your guitar, you need to press this button in order to be able to hear those insert effects. And for me, this is F10. You will see the monitor button lights up. It's F10 on my keyboard. 27, move event ends to cursor. I have this as Command-Shift-L. This is, again, very useful because what you can do is you can say, okay, I have my cursor here and I want to attach the end of this event to my cursor. I can just go Command-Shift-L and you will see this event will just snap next to the cursor. 28, oh, that's so important. Mute, unmute objects. This is very, very important for me and I use it all the time. The default shortcut is Option M, but what I use all the time is actually V. And this is just because I want to have the same exact command on my DAWs and my video editors, my NLE software. So on most video editors, if you select something and you press V, you deactivate it. So if I press V on any one of these events, I can just mute it and deactivate it. And this way, I don't have to go back and forth because I'm going from audio editing software to video editing software. I have the same command on everything and I'm so happy. 29 was added in Cubase 13, if I'm not mistaken, and it's rename selected events. This is very useful. I use it all the time. I have it in Control R. So if I go here to this event, for example, and I press Control R, you will see I can just rename it very easily. Let's call it Vox 2. And now I have renamed my event like this. 30, again, something that I use all the time. Select next grid type, which is Command Option and right square bracket. And 31 would be the same, but for previous grid type. So this is basically this thing right here. So we have bar, beat, quantize, and adapt to zoom. If I want to scroll between these two, I don't want to go and do it manually. I always go and hit Command Option and then right bracket. See, I can go from bar, beat, quantize, adapt to zoom very, very easily. I can go back and forth really quickly. And the next one is also very important. Select snap type. So we have next and previous snap type. And for this one, I have Command left and right square brackets. And this is this thing right here. So grid, grid relative, events, shuffle. Again, Command. I can just scroll between these very quickly. These shortcuts have really changed my life. 34 is open key editor in window. And this is something that I like to do many times. If you double click an event, it's going to open in the lower zone. But many times what I want to do is I want to press Command, Enter, and then I'm opening a full-size window for my key editor. Sometimes I really want to have the real estate to be able to work in detail with my MIDI part. And the same thing goes for my sample editor. So if I want to open my sample editor in full view, I can just select an audio event, press Option and Enter, and now I have a full window for my sample editor. 36, export audio mix down. This is a shortcut that I've been using for ages. It's Command Option W for me, and basically what it allows me to do is press this shortcut and immediately I can just start exporting my song. 37 is create audio slices from hit points. So in this case, I have Option Shift H, and as I showed you before, for example, right here, I have created my hit points. So Option Shift H, you will see that straight away I have created my slices out of my hit points. I find this extremely useful, especially if I want to chop up loops just to get an element like a snare or a kick drum. 38 is bounce MIDI, and this is again a command that not many people know about, but basically what it allows you to do is get a bunch of MIDI parts and combine them into one without using your glue tool all the time. I have it assigned in W, and basically what you can do is I can select these two MIDI parts, hit W, and boom, they are one right now. 39 is show controller lane setups. As you can see, I have 5 different setups, and by pressing this command Option 1, 2, 3, 4, I can go through different presets. So let me show you. If I go Command Option 1, I'm going to get my modulation right here on my key editor. If I go Command Option 2, I'm going to get my velocity and sustain, which I use for pianos, for example. If I go Command Option 3, I'm getting modulation and expression, which I use for programming my string parts. If I go Command Option 4, I'm getting modulation and pitch bend for 808s and sub basses. And 5 is only velocity again. So these were 5 actually, but I'm going to give you one more, and this is the fixed lengths MIDI shortcut, and I have this assigned to Command and /. Let me show you what this does. Let's say you have a bunch of MIDI notes like what I have here. You can actually turn them into any duration that you want, any length that you want. So for example, right here I have 8th notes, so I'm going to press Command and /, and you will see that boom, I have made them into 8th notes without even lifting a finger, just like this. There you go, my friends. These are just a few of the shortcuts I change every single time I install Cubase. In the comments down below, give us your custom shortcuts. I'd really love to hear them. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you like this video, you might also enjoy this video or this video. Have fun, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace!